I fell in love with a courtesan. I disregarded the ridicule of everyone, redeemed her freedom, and married her with the full rights befitting a principal wife, elevating her to become the most noble princess consort in the entire capital. But she despised me. She said that every inch of my touch filled her with disgust. Later I learned she was in love with a male opera singer. She hated me. She felt that if not for my forcible seizure, she and the opera singer would have long been a loving couple. One late night, I discovered she and the opera singer had long been carrying on a secret affair. Furious to the extreme, my heart failed, and I died on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I had reincarnated back to the day I proposed to her. She stared at me with hatred. Don't think that just because you have power and influence I will submit to you. I tell you, although you bought my body, my heart will never belong to you. I sneered coldly. Don't flatter yourself. I, a noble prince, how could I redeem a whore who's been with countless men? Welcome to the magical world of ancient Chinese tales. This is the channel Dragon's Path Tales. Now, let's begin today's story. I don't want to marry you. I'd rather stay in this brothel than become your princess consort. Ningyi stood in her boudoir, glaring at me angrily. Your power can force me into the bridal gown, but you will never win my heart. I held my splitting head, quietly meeting her gaze. But this moment, she wore a grand red bridal gown edged with gold thread, adorned with extremely luxurious pearl hairpins, her face painted with exquisite makeup, looking devastatingly beautiful. I felt somewhat dazed. Instantly, I remembered when we first met. She was still a thin, pitiful little girl. I remember that day. The capital was pouring with rain. I was plotting matters with the crown prince in a private room, the Tianxiong Tower. Suddenly, noise erupted outside, and a woman covered in wounds crashed through the door. Young master, please save me. I beg you to save me. Her hair was disheveled, her clothes barely covering her, her snow-white skin covered in shocking wet marks. But when she looked up, her delicate face couldn't hide her stunning beauty. Her captivating eyes brimmed with tears, evoking pity. The next moment, the madam rushed over with her thugs, seething with anger. Do you think you're some noble princess? I bought you so you could receive clients. Young master, I beg you save me. Her soft, boneless little hand clutched tightly to my robe hem. Crystal tears fell on my shoe as she begged desperately. I truly don't want to be violated by men. She looked so beautiful, like a delicate flower battered by harsh wind and bitter rain. At that moment, my heart was violently shaken. From the madam, I learned her background. Her name was Ningyu. From a poor peasant family. Her mother sold her for 2 taels of silver to marry off the men in the family. She arrived at Tianxiong Tower but refused to receive clients, locked in a room and whipped, until she was covered in wounds. I pitied her and wanted to redeem her freedom, but she stubbornly refused, saying, Young master, I just don't want to receive clients. But I cannot despise my own origins. I want to carve out a place for myself through my own efforts. Her thinking was very unconventional. I had never seen such a unique girl before, which only deepened my interest in her. I wanted to take her back to the prince's mansion, to cherish her, to let this delicate yet vivid flower bloom freely without any humiliation, only within my residence. Yet, even after I revealed my status, Ningyi was unwilling. She said that if I insisted on taking her away, then in her eyes I was no different from the madam, forcing her to receive clients. From then on, she became a Qingguan courtesan who sells art, not body, at Tianxiong Tower. I went to Tianxiong Tower to see her every day. She found the building stifling, so I took her outside the city to gallop on horses, admire flowers, and enjoy the scents. She grew tired of the scenery, so I disregarded the mocking glances of the royals and took her to the crown prince's palace banquet. At the banquet, I piled all the delicious food and fine drinks before her like offering treasures. However, she disdained all of these, even showing some disgust. I thought she was aloof, looking down on such luxuries. But later, I learned she refused to leave the brothel, refused to be with me, simply because her heart belonged to another man. That man was Li Yuan, a male opera singer raised among women who only knew how to apply powder and rouge. Ningyu worked hard every day at Tianxiang Tower, playing the Keenan, smiling, flattering life for men. The money she earned went straight to the upper stage to support Liuan. She and Liuan were deeply affectionate. Outside, they boated on the lake. Inside, Liuan would paint her eyebrows and style her hair. I was furious. She ignored my passionate love but spent all her time with an opera singer who only knew how to spend women's hard-earned money. Unable to contain my anger, I roared at her, "Ningyu, haven't I treated you well enough? Why are you with him?" She was extremely impatient with me. "Do you want to force me with your power? I tell you, I will be with whoever I want." Liuan timidly hid behind Ningyu, yet still managed a sarcastic remark. "You, the prince looks very angry. Is he going to kill me?" Ningyu puffed out her chest and glared at me fiercely. "If you dare lay a hand on him, I will kill myself." You! Furious beyond measure, I wanted to slap her. But in the end, I forcibly held back. I silently vowed never to seek her out again. Yet, every late night her breathtakingly beautiful face would constantly appear in my mind. I lost my appetite and couldn't sleep. Later, Ningyu actually came to my mansion gate with red-rimmed eyes. "Prince, Brother Yuan is in trouble. I beg you to save him." She had clearly dressed up carefully before coming to plead with me. She wore the gauze dress I'd given her. Embroidered with irises on her head was the magnolias and a walled hairpin I made myself. Even the lily scent on her body was my favorite fragrance. She knew exactly how to please me to make me willingly bow down to her. My heart softened again, and I asked, "What did Liuan do?" Ningyu's eyes flickered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "He accidentally offended your royal brother and has been imprisoned." I laughed self-mockingly. "I can't save him." Liuan hadn't accidentally offended the crown prince. He had attempted to violate the crown prince's concubine. Not being executed immediately was already immense imperial grace. Ningyu suddenly pulled out her hairpin and pointed it at her own neck, staring at me with hatred. "Prince, if you don't save him, I will die right before your eyes." The tip of the hairpin quickly pierced her delicate skin. I panicked. At that moment I realized I loved her deeply to the marrow. Unable to extricate myself, I still went to plead with my royal brother. The crown prince looked at me with utter disappointment. "You were wise and courageous on the battlefield, slaying countless enemies. I never imagined you'd lose your head over a prostitute now." I steeled myself. "I followed our father to war at the age of 8 and have fought until now. Now that the war has calmed, I finally understand my feelings. I never give my love lightly in this life. Once I love, I give my all." The crown prince angrily scolded me. "You are incredibly foolish." Finally, Liuan was released. But I became the target of ridicule and contempt from other royal siblings. They said the wise prince of Zenbi from the battlefield had fallen for a despicable prostitute, turning into a fool. They also said, ridiculously, the prostitute didn't love me but loved a male opera singer. Yet I, too, curry favor with the prostitute, extended my affection to the singer too. Later, Liuan was expelled from the capital by the crown prince. Ningyu remained depressed and unhappy. I found rare treasures every day, changing tactics to please her. She gradually began to accept me. I wanted to marry her but feared she would think I was using power to oppress her. One day, I cautiously proposed my idea. She was furious. "I told you, I don't care to be your princess consort." It took a lot of gold, silver, jewels, and fine silks to appease her. One late night, we both drank wine and naturally ended up together. I immediately said I would take responsibility for her. She sneered, "I'm a prostitute. Taking responsibility for me just means taking me home as a concubine." I swore, "I will make you the most noble princess consort." That day, I sent out a dowry procession stretching 10,000 of silk, and carried her across the threshold in a grand bridal seat and chair with the rites of the principal wife. Simultaneously, I became the laughingstock of the world. Everyone laughed at me, saying one should marry a virtuous wife. But the prince married a prostitute. I didn't care about the world's opinions. I only cared about Ningyu. After marriage, I thought she would live in harmony with me as husband and wife, loving and affectionate. Very soon I knew. I was wrong. The second day after the wedding, Ningyu moved to live in a temple under the pretext of praying for blessings. I refused, so she sneered contemptuously. I am praying for the people of the world, yet all you care about are the thoughts in your trousers. Aren't you disgusting? I had to agree and personally escorted her to settle at the temple. During the nights apart, I was constantly worried, thinking the temple was harsh. Its porridge cold. Its clothes thin. Could Ningyu endure it? Later, the emperor sent me to the border to fight the Xiongnu. I endured hardship at the border for 3 years, finally defeating the Xiongnu and obtaining an extremely rare luminous pearl. I was also left covered in wounds and disabilities, but disregarding the pain, I rode 1,000-mile horse day and night, galloping back just to give this treasure to Ningyu. Reaching the temple, I eagerly pushed open the door to her bedroom. I did not see her chanting sutras or praying. In this sacred Buddhist place, I saw her clothes discarded, engaged in an indecent act with Liyuan on the bed. Liyuan's mocking voice pierced my ears. If Shang Ming knew you were carrying my child, wouldn't he be furious to death? Ningyu giggled coyly. Why mention that kind of man? He's nothing but a dog by my side. Raising him is how we have endless riches. Fury surged through my heart. I wanted to kill this despicable pair. And instead, a mouthful of filthy blood sprayed from my mouth. I died on the spot. Zhang Meng, I tell you one last time, I don't want to marry you. Ningyu's voice gradually pulled my memories back. She was still stunningly beautiful, but the rage in my chest was overwhelming, impossible to suppress. In my past life, I asked myself, hadn't I treated her extremely well? I lowered my status to help her meet all the noble sons and daughters of my royal family. I collected countless rare treasures, just to win a smile from her. But her? She cried and sought me out when she needed something when there was nothing. She called me a dog. Just then, a foppish man walked over. He snorted, "Prince, Yu doesn't love you. I advise you to leave quickly." I glanced at him. He was Li Yuan, the opera singer Ningyu loved. That disgusting, shameless thing. In my past life, Ningyu had just started accepting me again when she inexplicably lost her temper. Thinking I hadn't done enough, I hurriedly sent her piles of fine silks groveling to appease her before she was finally happy. But soon, the hairpins vanished from her hair, and even the jewels on her dressing table disappeared. Curious, I asked her where the jewels were. She blinked, saying, "I'm not like you idle nobles waiting to die. I pawned my jewels to give to the poor families around. I thought her very kind and loved her even more. Until I accidentally discovered that all the jewels I gave her were now adorning Li Yuan's body. What do you have besides power and influence? In every other way, you fall short of me." Now Li Yuan puffed out his chest, saying, Yu doesn't love you, she loves me. I also advise you to have some self-awareness and leave quickly. I raised my hand and grabbed the fop's neck. He had barely any muscle on his body. His effeminate face showed terror and panic. You let me go. What did I have besides power and influence? I, Prince of Zhenbi of Great Shu, had performed countless military exploits on the battlefield. If not for my past life's stupidity, obsessing over Ningyu, how could a mere opera singer dare jump around before me? Ningyu hurriedly shouted angrily, "Hurry and let him go." My eyes narrowed, my fingers tightened. One more second, and I could snap this powdered singer's neck. Seeing I was serious, Ningyu finally got scared. She frantically threw herself at me. "Don't kill him. As long as you let him go, I will marry you." In my past life, to beg her into the bridal sedan, a noble prince, royal bloodline, who would kneel only to heaven and the emperor. I had broken my spine kneeling before her, groveling like a dog. I begged her for a full hour before her vanity was sufficiently satisfied, and she finally held her head high and entered the sedan. "You want to marry me?" I glanced at her unfairly and suddenly laughed. "Your arms have been pillows for thousands, your lips tasted by 10,000. I, the Prince of Zhenbi, how could I possibly marry a filthy whore like you?" Ningyu's face turned extremely ugly. Her fingers grabbed my sleeve as she stared at me incredulously. What do you mean? It was you who insisted on marrying me with an 8-listed and Charon princess consort rites. Get lost. Disgusted by her closeness, I shoved her away. Only then did Ninyu panic. Fear appeared on her face. She knelt before me. Prince, I'm sorry, my words just now were harsh. I beg you, don't abandon me just like that. Seeing her of vulgar nature exposed, I felt my past self was utterly foolish. It truly confirmed what my royal brother once said to me, that woman Ninyu, aside from a pretty face, is utterly worthless. Such women are a dime a dozen in brothels. My royal brother had also sighed, saying, brother man, you've just spent too long on the battlefield, never knowing women. Prince, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Seeing my prolonged silence, Ninyu crawled back to me on her knees. Prince, I actually harbor deep affection for you. But you are high and mighty. I am a humble whore. I felt unworthy of you. That's why I rejected you. You are quite self-minded, so where you truly are unworthy of me. A faint curve appeared on my lips. Didn't you prefer staying in the brothel receiving clients? This Prince Magnanimous grants your wish. Ninyu's face instantly turned deathly pale. Prince, you truly won't marry me anymore? I didn't speak to her, turned, and left. Every second longer I looked at that face, I struggled to suppress the urge to kill her. Having killed thousands on the battlefield, I knew better than anyone that slitting her throat outright would be too merciful. I wanted this whore and this opera singer to live in misery, unable to live or die. Descending the stairs, I specifically instructed the madam, I have no feelings left for Ninyu, but your care for her must not diminish in the slightest. The madam was a shrewd opportunist. She immediately understood I had lost all affection for Ninyu. Her eyes flickered shrewdly as she patted her chest. Prince, rest assured, I will certainly take very good care of her. Not long after I left the brothel, I heard the agonized, shrill screams of Ninyu being whipped. One day, Ninyu suddenly came to my mansion. Her once delicate face was haggard beyond recognition. Several glaring whip marks marred her body. She knelt before me, pitifully begging, Prince, I know you are angry with me. Let's reconcile. Go tell the madam not to make me receive clients anymore, all right? I laughed. Didn't you declare you'd rather be a prostitute in a brothel than become my princess consort? Since that's the case, this prince provides you this opportunity. Why aren't you grateful? Ninyu's eyes gradually turned crimson. You once said I was the woman you cherished most. Love? I had loved her so fiercely the world laughed at me. Yet I didn't care. But her? She treated me like a beast of burden, looking down on me with contempt. I kicked her to the ground. Get out. Ninyu was dragged out by guards and unceremoniously dumped onto the street. Then Li Yuan ran out, demanding anxiously, well, did you get the money? Ninyu bit her lip tightly. Zhang Meng might be serious this time. He seems to truly have no feelings for me anymore. Worthless. Li Yuan violently tore open her dress, roaring, why didn't you strip naked and seduce him? Isn't that what you're best at? Ninyu pushed him away violently, her eyes filled with disbelief. What are you doing? You, I didn't mean it. You know I want to become an official. But I'm barely literate. I can only buy a post. Once I become an official, you'll be an official's wife. Li Yuan grew more excited. If it really comes to it, why not agree to the madam's demand to receive clients? Li Yuan. Ninyu raised her hand and slapped Li Yuan hard across the face. My person and my body are yours? You actually want me to receive clients? Have you no conscience? Provoked by the slap, Li Yuan flew into a rage. He suddenly reached out and choked Ninyu's neck. It's all because you didn't get me the money for buying the official post. I had to go gamble. Do you know I owe a mountain of debt now? If I don't repay it, I'll be hacked to death. After this, Ninyu, who originally only played the kin for refined poets and officials, descended to the lowest level, becoming a cheap commodity for any man willing to pay to drink with her. Soon, news came from the brothel. Ninyu was forced by the madam to auction her virginity. That day I went. She was forced to wear translucent gauze clothes. Her delicate face was full of fear and despair. Her starting bid was 500 taels of silver. Below, a crowd of vulgar landlords and old men leered at Ningyu. Some drooled, some groped her feet. "No, don't touch me," Ningyu screamed in terror. Suddenly, she looked up and saw me in the private box. Hope flashed in her eyes. "Prince, you still love me, right? Prince, I beg you to save me. I will never be ungrateful again." I ignored her pleas. The bidding below began. Ningyu was very beautiful, and because I had once favored her, her price skyrocketed all the way to 5,000 taels. The highest bidder was an old eunuch in his 50s or 60s. An old eunuch's heart was the darkest. He bought Ningyu solely to torment her. Several girls bought by this old eunuch in the past could not endure the pain and bit off their tongues to commit suicide. "No, no, I absolutely won't let you touch me." Ningyu cried out helplessly towards my direction. "Prince, I beg you to save me. I truly know I was wrong. I don't even aspire to be Princess Consort anymore. I'm willing to be your Niederstand. You still think, Prince NB, I will protect you?" The old eunuch trembled as he walked onto the stage and slapped her viciously. "You shameless slut. He is a noble prince. He was just momentarily amused by you. How could he possibly fancy trash like you?" Utterly hopeless, Ningyu stared at me hatefully. "Prince, if you won't save me, then I will die." I stood up and smiled at her. "Fine. I bid 10,000 taels." The old eunuch knelt before me in terror. "Prince, forgive me. This servant didn't know you were here. Otherwise I would never have dared to bid for her." Everyone present was stunned. I heard their murmurs. "That Ningyu is truly lucky. She publicly rejected the prince, yet he holds no grudge and still treats her so well. The prince came from the battlefield. He rarely sees women. He still can't let go of this Ningyu. TSK. Such a noble position as Princess Consort given to such a lowly prostitute. Prince. Prince." The despair vanished from Ningyu's eyes. She cowed out to me excitedly again and again. "Prince, I knew you loved me. Prince, this time I promise I won't be ungrateful. I will love you with all my strength." Love me with all her strength? Was it with all her strength that she cuckolded me in the temple? Remembering the scene from my past life of Ningyu entangled with Liuan in the temple, hatred surged within me again. I threw the silver notes to the madam, enunciating each word. "She's just a whore. This prince buys her virginity night. Everyone here can have their fun with her." The crowd instantly erupted. They thanked me profusely. "Thank you, Prince. Prince, how can you treat me like this?" Ningyu's pupils contracted violently. She screamed in terror and fury. "No matter how much you hate me, you can't let so many people humiliate me." I smiled faintly. "But before that, let the accomplished Miss Ningyu, skilled in kin, chess, calligraphy, and painting, dance for us first." Ningyu lowered her head. Her body stiffened. Motionless, she murmured lowly, "Prince, you must be saying this out of anger. You once loved me so much, you can't bear to." Before she finished speaking, the madam lashed her fiercely with a whip. "Didn't you hear what the prince said? Dance now." The crowd of lecherous old men below also clamored eagerly. "Yes, dance now." Ningyu cried, tears streaming down her face. Under the lash of the madam's whip, she danced stiffly. I watched her expression of grief and indignation coldly from the private box. A sense of vengeful pleasure surged in my heart. "Ningyu, you should understand now. Without me, you live worse than a dog." After the dance ended, everyone pounced on her like wolves and tigers. Soon the whole capital knew Ningyu had started receiving clients. Everyone went to Tianxian Tower to request her services. Later I heard she contracted a disease, and the madam stopped caring for her. She wandered the streets alone. But I paid her no further heed. One day, idly drinking tea in a tea house, I encountered Chen Jin, the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of Yangyi. Chen Jin was my childhood playmate. She always used to follow behind me, calling me brother. Every time I returned from the frontier, I brought her some novel trinkets, which she treasured immensely. The emperor had once intended for me to marry her. But after becoming infatuated with Ningyu, I constantly found her annoying and rejected her at my door several times. In my past life, Ningyu once said to me, I disliked the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of Yongyi. She once bullied commoners like me. Without asking for any reason, I publicly and harshly reprimanded the dignified, virtuous Chen Jin, who represented the face of aristocratic families before the entire imperial clan. After that, I never saw Chen Jin again. Now, encountering Chen Jin, an indescribable feeling of guilt welled up inside me. Chen Jin suddenly looked out the window. Prince, look. The street is so lively. I followed her gaze. It was Ningyu. Her clothes barely covered her. She was being pulled along by several filthy, stinking beggar men. Disgusting hands groped her body randomly. We'll give you some silver, just let us touch you. Many onlookers pointed and gossiped about Ningyu. Suddenly, Ningyu looked up and saw me drinking tea in the tea house. She seemed to see a ray of light in the murky swamp. She ran towards me again, beaming, Prince. Prince! Servants behind me stopped Ningyu. Shenjin ordered her attendants men, doctor this beggar out. Don't dirty the prince's eyes. Prince, you've already punished me. I truly know my mistake. I beg you, love me one more time, all right? Ningyu ignored Shenjin. Even deep in the abyss, she still believed I would help her. Shenjin, a legitimate daughter of an aristocratic family, remained composed, just looking at me calmly. Do you still love her? I waved my hand, let her approach. Seeing me agree, a flicker of triumph flashed across Ningyu's face. In Shenjin's eyes, I saw disappointment. Thump. Ningyu knelt at my feet, pitiful like a cat or dog, clutching my robe hem and begging incessantly. Prince, I beg you, cherish me. I truly cannot endure this inhuman life anymore. Take me back, I will serve you day and night from now on. She even pulled at the scant cloth covering her body in broad daylight, casting seductive, coquettish glances at me. My anger reached its peak, unable to endure it any longer. I kicked her away. Whore! I gritted my teeth, wishing I could strangle her. Ningyu was stunned at first, then prostrated on the ground, kowtowing non-stop. Prince, I know I was wrong. I apologize. Look at our past feelings. You can't abandon me. I truly cannot bear this life of receiving clients, being groped by men. Don't want to receive clients. I wanted to strip her naked and tie her to the city wall for public display. I was about to speak when a pair of soft, boneless hands gently patted my shoulder. Prince, Miss Ningyu is indeed quite pitiful. To prevent the world from calling you heartless, let her do menial work at Tianxiang Tower. A hint of admiration rose in my eyes. Little sister Jin always has my best interests at heart. Chen Jin! You bitch! You're inciting the prince to harm me. Ningyu's tear-filled eyes suddenly blazed with hatred. She looked ready to tear Chen Jin apart. I shielded Chen Jin in my arms, looking at Ningyu like she was roadside trash. What are you waiting for? Doctor her out. I must have been blind in the past, bewitched by trash like Ningyu. To forsake the noble, dignified, legitimate daughter of an aristocratic family who treasured me like pearls for a prostitute. I found myself utterly ridiculous. From now on, I would make it up to little sister Jin properly. According to the spy's report, with my order, the madam didn't make Ningyu receive clients anymore. Instead, she made her do the dirtiest, most exhausting chores at Tianxiang Tower, like washing clothes, cooking, hauling wastewater, starching clothes, sweeping, and wiping tables. Her life became even worse than when she was a prostitute. Her income plummeted drastically. She couldn't even afford decent clothes. Her face was smeared with cheap rouge, making her look old and ugly. Li Yuan constantly demanded money from her. They quarreled violently several times. Ningyu finally couldn't take it anymore, roaring at Li Yuan, "Can't you spend less? I'm sick, I can't receive clients, what can I earn money?" Li Yuan, flying into an uncontrollable rage, slapped her hard across the face, leaving Ningyu stunned. Li Yuan perhaps realized his impulsiveness and quickly tried to coax Ningyu. You, be good. Why don't you secretly receive clients again? Save up a bit more silver, and I'll redeem your freedom. Then we can live a happy, carefree life. Ningyu actually believed him. Despite her sickly, broken body, she went to the dark alleys to receive clients. Hearing this, I only found it laughable. Some people are simply base. In the past, when served fine food and drink, she discarded them like trash. Now fallen to this state, she actually accepts it willingly. I could only sigh at how utterly foolish my past self had been. Ningyu had thus fallen into the mire. The hatred in my heart gradually subsided. Chen Jin once asked me why, when everyone had advised me before not to love Ningyu too deeply. I had always ignored them. But why did I suddenly, as if enlightened, transform from deep love for Ningyu to such intense hatred? I couldn't tell her I had reincarnated. Even less could I tell her that in my past life, I witnessed Ningyu's conspiracy and affair with Liuan. Fortunately, I reincarnated. Otherwise, I would have remained deceived by Ningyu's hypocritical facade. At this moment, Chen Jin rested her head against my chest. Prince, it's good that you saw her true nature. I held Chen Jin tightly, feeling the warmth of her body. I said, little sister Jin, let's get married. Chen Jin stiffened momentarily in my arms, looking up in disbelief, her eyes brimming with hot tears. Prince, are you serious? I pinched her cheek, revealing a gentle smile. Of course it's true. Ningyu became the complete laughingstock of the capital. I also entered the palace to request the emperor's decree for marriage. The emperor was overjoyed that I had mended my ways and rewarded me with endless gold, silver, and jewels. However, I sent all of it to the Marquis of Yangyi's mansion for Chen Jin. On the day I delivered the betrothal gifts to the Marquis's mansion, Ningyu found me again. Her face was swollen like a pig's head, her hair a mess, only a tattered rag barely covered her body. Blue and purple bruises covered her. A pitiful sight of foul odor emanated from her. No matter how you treat me, Prince, I still came to find you. I know deep down you still have love for me. She knelt at my feet. Now I truly know Liuan is a scoundrel. You treated me best. I beg you, take me back to the prince's mansion. It turned out Liuan had become deeply addicted to gambling. He incurred massive gambling debts at the gambling den. The den owner, seeking to curry favor with me, deliberately set a trap, making Liuan lose more and more heavily. Finally, Yuan was constantly pressured to repay his debts. He could only continue deceiving women for money. Liuan was caught in the act and beaten severely by several men. Without money, Liuan went to Ningyu again. But Ningyu's earnings had long been squandered by Liuan. Seeing she couldn't produce money, Liuan drugged her. He dumped her in a dilapidated temple outside the city, took silver from a bunch of beggars, and handed Ningyu over for their random abuse. The beggars tortured Ningyu until she was almost unrecognizable. When she woke in the temple, the beggars told her it was Liuan who abandoned her there. Furious, she went to confront Liuan, only to find him counting money with another woman, acting intimately. Once I get Ningyu to sell herself a few more times, and once she's useless, we'll sell her to the army camp. With the money, we can run far away. The woman clung to Liuan's arm, giggling, Brother Yuan, if that bitch Ningyu knew you gave all the money to me and that I'm carrying your child, wouldn't she be furious to death? Who cares if she dies? She's already been played with by countless people. How could I possibly marry her? To me now, she's just a money-minus-making dog. Seeing Liuan's true nature, Ningyu burst through the door and started fighting with them. Liuan, after all I gave you heart and soul, you treat me like this. Seeing Ningyu looking like a madwoman, Liuan could no longer hide his disgust. He viciously slapped Ningyu several times and kicked and punched her. Who told you to be a whore? You're rotten to the bone, you're not even worthy of tying my shoes. Ningyu was defenseless, beaten by both until she was nearly dead. After completely breaking with Liuan, Ningyu dragged her battered body back to Qianxiang Tower. But, the madam had thugs throw her out from today. You can only sleep next to the latrine. Dare to step 1 foot outside and I'll kill you. Ningyu went from Tian Tower's top courtesan to a plaything for men, then descended to the lowest servant at Tianxiang Tower. She had to do the lowliest work in the brothel, never having enough to eat or wear, constantly bullied and beaten by the servants. Learning I was delivering betrothal gifts to Chen Jin, she found a chance to escape and intercepted me at the Marquis's mansion gate. Truly, The wheel of fortune turns. I knew Ningyu came to me not out of genuine repentance. She had merely become accustomed to the fine life I once gave her. Now, fallen from grace, reduced to a lowly prostitute, she couldn't endure such a life, hence she humbled herself before me. Facing her pleas, I remained unmoved, simply ordering servants to drag her away. Simultaneously, I commanded henceforth, if this wretch comes to my mansion again, kill her without mercy. I had the power to kill Ningyu, but I wouldn't use it. I wanted Ningyu to suffer endless misery in this world. On the day of my grand wedding with Chen Jin, lanterns on festoons decorated everywhere. All the noble sons and daughters of the capital attended, even the emperor and empress came to receive tea from the new bride. My royal brother clinked glasses with me, patting my shoulder. Brother, see how well you live once freed from the prostitute's bewitchment. This is the dignity befitting royalty. On our wedding night, I lifted little Jin's red veil. She looked at me shyly, her eyes filled with nothing but me. I held her and apologized sincerely. Little Jin, I'm sorry. Before I failed to see clearly and made you suffer so much. Little Jin suddenly covered my lips. Husband, since childhood I've liked you, always following you around. You never found me annoying. Later, every time you went to war, you sent me little trinkets to ease my boredom. At that time, I swore I would marry no one but you. When you were bewitched by Ningyu, though my heart ached, I only wished for your return to shore. Fortunately, you returned not too late. I held little Jin tightly, as if wanting to meld her into my bones. I neglected the one who loved me, treasured what wasn't mine. I was truly a fool. Little Jin, from now on, I will never fail you. Not long after the wedding, I took little Jin to live in my fiefdom, far from the capital's clamor. Later, I heard Ningyu died. She died on New Year's Eve. She was tormented by several men in succession. Finally dying of exhaustion, her body was wrapped in a straw matting, thrown on a garbage heap. The old man cleaning the garbage found it troublesome and simply dumped the corpse in a mass burial ground. As for Li Yuan, the gambling debts he owed were impossible to repay. The woman following him also absconded with all his valuables. After a few days of hiding, he was finally caught by the gambling den's men. Li Yuan was beaten for 3 days and nights. Finally, the gambling den chopped off his legs, leaving him to live by begging on the capital streets. In the warm May weather, I took little Jin traveling across the land. We saw the scenery of the northern deserts, then went west to see the sea. After 5 months, we finally reached my fiefdom in the south. I chose a manor in an elegant small town where streams murmured, fruit trees were everywhere, full of the warmth of everyday life. Little Jin was 3 months pregnant. Being a father for the first time, I cared for her meticulously. She always laughed at me. Look at you, what trace of a prince is left? I lay my head on her belly and grinned foolishly. With my wife, being a prince doesn't matter anymore. I was immersed in happiness, unable to extricate myself. Since the day I left the capital, I never thought of Ningyu again. Even her face faded from my memory. I had completely found myself again, and I had found the love that belonged to me.